So let's just finish this saga once and for all. It's taken years to put together, but it should stamp a tattooed narc on this person's forehead once and for all. Once the criminal court has stopped the restraining order and everyone just leaves me alone, I will just Wikipedia this person and she'll be hexed for the rest of her life, yeah? Makes no difference. So the fifth installment. So if we say emotional abusers, narcissists, apathetic, sociopathic personality types are well documented to endure in the minds of victims well years after their actions and behaviours. My abuser was no exception, of course. There is a video that you can watch, but I'm not going to reference it because it's just silly. There's plenty, you can see it all on YouTube anyway. For a more in-depth academic psychological understanding, like people who've done psychiatry as well, who understand the mind better than I cognitively, mostly to do with rumination and giving up, and how it emotionally abuses you back to your childhood, and how it's really difficult to forget that kind of thing, yeah, because it's like being scarred. It's literally like being scarred because you're reminded all the time. Memory scars are probably deeper than visual scars, because visual scars you don't feel the pain anymore, you can cover them up. I've got both anyway. But it's been known anyway, ruminations to persist for weeks, months, years, decades, even forever, after these malevolent manifestations of a sociopath. We call them sociopath, it's kind of narcissist, sociopath, same thing. We're not saying, but it's getting there, isn't it? These kind of interactions with a malignant, we're going to say a malignant person, yeah? Even though she was a nurse, and she was supposed to be an angel, yeah? Who was intent on a maximum supply through harm, abuse, domination, power, control, and using every single strategy she could think of. Victimhood, guilt, sex, gender, whatever she could use to gain control and power. I wish I filmed all of this, like secretly filmed all of this, because when you've got someone who's into drama and someone whose whole life is sucking on other people's emotional reservoirs, it becomes like a movie, it's like you just can't believe it. It's like a story that someone made up, yeah? That's probably why no one's interested, because they just don't understand. But when it happens to you, then it's like, oh yeah, let me see that again. Anyway, this is the next headline. I'll try and be brief, The emotional abusers, National Health Service time at Cheltenham and Gloucester Hospital. It was more Cheltenham, but they're like it's a twin NHS concern, yeah? The Narcissist's first hospital was Cheltenham after landing on English or British soil, all the way back there in February 2017, which is now nearly 6 years ago. Imagine that, man. It's like Nightmare City, isn't it? When the zombies were on the plane and nobody knew and they were letting them land. Do you remember? We can remember that gory film, eh? By the emotional abuser's own reports, her contemporaries, qualified and pre-tested Filipino nurses who had lived and worked alongside her in Cheltenham Hospital, would later go on to comment, reference Instagram and whatever application, the emotional abuser had used to correspond with the Gloucester Filipino Association. Okay, that's in a sub-bracket, yeah? That the emotional abuser's persona was just merely big-headed. So they were mocking her as just being, big-headed. Defined by a pivotal obsession with perfectionism, so they didn't like her very much, okay? And it spread like wildfire. Once one Filipino realised what they were dealing with, everybody else followed, which isn't really fair. But when she stole someone's friends, okay, that was the end of it, isn't it? It's believed that the narcissist had enjoyed, reflecting on it, the notoriety of being acknowledged as a perfectionist, but not a narcissist, when one is the light side and the other's the dark side, so they go together, It's two sides of the same coin. If someone's a perfectionist, they're probably a narcissist when things don't go the way they want, The reason how they've become a perfectionist is by being a narcissist. You think that everybody complied? I would have gone much further than just harmless hardwiring for perfectionism. Obviously, she's psychotic, but she probably believes that she has to be psychotic to be perfect, or to get everybody to do what she wants, or else, There's a type of selfish bullying kind of thing going on. That you're just playing a part in her film, like she's a director or something, yeah? You can imagine that. The emotional abuser completely lacked empathy, obviously, and I was witness to her scanning for weaknesses, flaws, and concentration breaks the entire time. But obviously, I didn't film it. The next time I will, if I ever see any of that carry on. All the time that I've known her, I never surveyed her with audio or video cameras or anything like that. But I should have. In fact, that should have been, if that ever happens to any of you guys, you film it. You just get it documented, and you have that evidence forever then, yeah? You do whatever you want. It's like gold dust. Like the other day, I was talking to, is it Jeremy Corbyn's brother, Piers Corbyn? And he did something wrong. He took a bribe from a corporation, and then he started attacking me, yeah? And luckily for him, I didn't have night vision. And I didn't have a light in the dark, so you don't even see his face, but you can hear his voice very clearly. I'm going to put it on YouTube later, you'll see. But this is what it's all about, man. If you don't record people acting badly, they just deny it. They just gaslight you. They just say it never happens, yeah? Like right now, she will say to everybody, never happened. Never happened. I was an angel the whole time. The whole time I was with him, I was an angel, yeah? It was him. He's mad. He's crazy, yeah? He's a nutcase, right? So, what she really did was, her main objective was drawing supply directly from winning, beating, getting the upper hand, shortcomings, weaknesses in other people. She got real self-esteem and confidence from that. It was a natural predatory disposition that she had as a person, as a human being. This, in a very cynical way, justified her wayward sense of entitlement and thirst for leadership. Well, not really leadership, but to get behind whoever led or whoever won anything, She was always right there. She wasn't very far away from freebie, and she wasn't very far away from people with money and influence and all that, From what I saw, the way that she kind of got herself into position for favour, Relating to a legitimate felt craving for hierarchical power. I mean, that's probably why she got into the health service in the first place. And authority. She'd been promoted a few times, which when she was far too young, not even before her 25th birthday, she was supervising in a hospital ward, which, I don't know, bossing 40-year-olds about, which would have been both suited to her quick mental processing personality. She was clever, man. She was fast, Had NPD not overwhelmingly dominated her decisions, but sometimes she made such dumb decisions about people, She, in a kind of, I wouldn't say autistic way, but her NPD sort of blinded her, where she was doing she was missing social cues to some extent, But that's what I experienced. Obviously she got better with time, I wouldn't underestimate that. So the NPD eventually was overwhelming her decision. Well, I could see that it was always overwhelming her decisions. It's just that she was masking it in the beginning, Behaviour and then actions exclusively to accomplish her selfish ends, which was just using getting me hooked, persuading me to part with stuff that I don't normally do, getting me to buy stuff that I don't normally buy, and then discarding me when something better came along, i.e. the opportunity up the road, It's hard not to believe that the emotional abuser, I'm going to call her an emotional abuser, but she's a narcissist. I know she's Filipino, I know she's a nurse, but foremost, I want her to be accustomed, or to be wholly, predominantly, a narcissist, because that's what she was, She might work as a nurse, but it makes no difference, It's hard not to believe that the emotional abuser did not sadistically draw pleasure from the abject misery and pain to gain narcissistic supply. So, when it was realised that it was all fake love and that she wasn't really with me for me, she was just with me because she was using my resources to get where she wanted to go, So that was sickening, innit? That was just, and she was enjoying that. Because she knew I couldn't do anything about it, Which had been deliberately inflicted for probable prolonged lasting psychological injury, so she just kept that hanging on then, kept on pretending, kept on, being confusing and all the rest of it. Ambivalent, if you want to call it that. Okay, next chapter, the confusion. There is another chapter on YouTube, but I'm not going to spell it out. You can just find whatever's related for yourself, So the next chapter is an early example of the emotional abuser purposefully crossing a personal boundary just to check. Just like the shark test, like when they see a dead body or whatever, they don't go up to it straight away, they just start barging it with their noses, just to see if it's dead or not. And then they go in for the kill, they start taking bites out of it, and then eventually one of them comes along and just takes a massive bite out of it also, isn't it? Similar. Shark testing, isn't it? So, the narcissist grabbing and taking off my hat when I was in public, without my consent, because a security guard had asked me to take off my hat. We were going into, I think it was like a church in Victoria, just near the Victoria Station in South London. Well, not South London, is it? It's, where is it? It is South London, isn't it? No, just on the Thames anyway. Near, what's that? Pimlico? Near Pimlico, isn't it? The occurrence happened around February 2018, so it's a long time ago now, but I still remember it well, A seemingly small incident alone. It was like the first couple of times that I went out with her, innit? It was just met her kind of practically, but it was a red flag, but I didn't realise. I didn't know, I've never been with someone like this before, who's like textbook narcissist, that a clinical psychologist will illustrate, Because in hindsight, it's exactly what they illustrate and what they express as, the kind of people you need to avoid in life, or just, pretend that you're not affected by. You can't call them out, obviously. The emotional abuser thought she would move out anyway. She took it, using the excuse that the gallery security guards told me to take off my hat. Nobody should be touching my hat or taking off my hat for any reason, It's not like, I'm not the kind of person who gives a shit about someone taking my hat. I'm not going to fucking go crazy and start beating them up or I don't know, screaming or any crap like that, but it's the idea, innit? It's like, imagine I just come and just take off your hat. I've only known her a couple of days, man, and she's already doing shit like that. She's practically a stranger, But she's crossing back the boundary to test, just to see what she can get away with, So anyway, there was a time when I was a bit overweight or whatever, and she was sort of pretending to punch my belly kind of thing while she was touching my belly. So she thought I was fat because she was saying there was some people that she was visiting she was mentioning that they were overweight now because they were in England or whatever, and they were a lot fatter than they used to be, and she kind of, I don't know what she was, she was implying, innit, So she obviously thought that fat people weren't very attractive and they weren't as good as her, Right? So it was in Victoria, not far from the station, and looking at it, probably for it to be removed, didn't it? Submitting to the galleries, no hat policy or rule. But I didn't want to take off my bloody hat, This playful initiative displayed by the narcissist was actually really intrusive for me, unsettling and irritating, It's just annoying, man. What are you touching my hat for? I'm bald, man. I don't want to fucking take off my hat, obviously, Like, give me a break. So she took off my hat. I don't know if she did it because I was bald and she knew that, that I didn't like that, or because the guy, or maybe she thought that I was so stupid that I didn't understand what the security guard was saying, maybe, and she thought, oh, I'll do it for him, he's too slow, blah, 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 blah. He's a retard, yeah? So probably that was something to do with it, yeah? I don't know. You don't have to ask yourself, but she obviously thought she was doing me a favour, but she kind of pissed me off, you know? Really got on my nerves here. Just don't touch my stuff, don't touch me. We don't know each other that well. Instead of getting annoyed, I decided to walk away for her at that moment in time. That was a good thing to do. I could have kept on walking. I would have had the bullshit I had to deal with like later on. She needed an easy, reliable supply to get back on track to achieve National Health Service nurse status band 6. This was her valuing or love bomb phase of the narcissistic cycle. Yeah, it was noted. To hastily go after me, so then she hastily went after me, held my arms, and sort of was not aware at the time what she was or who she was. Well, not yet worked out the premeditating one side of the agenda, and just her strategy and her tactics. She persuaded me anyway, going away, to stop me going away. I'm just a nice person. I mean, I didn't really think it was a big deal at the time, yeah? So, but yeah, it was an unwitting supply at the time. But she was getting off on it, obviously, telling people what to do, knowing what's best, all that crap. Interestingly, at no time did the narcissist even apologise or fix her inappropriate behaviour and crossing my boundaries, continuing in the same vein throughout the entire interaction. It was never a relationship. That'd be merely a false belief of mine. Relationships, yeah, the implication. Yeah. Strange. Maybe the narcissist forgot in the heat of the moment to say, you know, sorry. Well, narcissists are only ever able to selfishly focus upon themselves, aren't they? Considering another person's feelings, responsibilities, or commitments, even if they are a supposed cherished loved one, never, would be well beyond the non-existent, empathetic perimeters of a narcissist. See, that's why it's so important, guys, to just know what you're dealing with, know who you're dealing with, because they can ruin your life, man. Can really mess up your image and your values. Your value, man, is just blown away. People are only ever objects to this type of personality. Yet another red flag missed of full, just another miss red flag of a full-on narcissistic personality disordered female, yeah? But she is the epitome, or the definition, of what is wrong with women today in the West, okay? Just the epitome. And she doesn't have to be looking for 6 figures, 6 foot, or a 6-pack. It wasn't like that. Yeah, she was far more cunning than that. She was far smarter than that. She wasn't honest. In time, I realised the reasons behind her actions. Obviously, her mask slipped eventually. She had no other supply, yeah? No other person willing to be used and therefore codependent with her, yeah? So, obviously, I had MUG tattooed to my forehead in her narcissistic rosy-tinted glasses. For a narcissist, to complete a supply to stay in public is nothing compared to losing that easy, lucrative mark after supply. So she was apologising to me and telling me to stay and not to run off and all the rest of it. Because, you know, I was giving her free rent, free food, treating her, giving her money, bloody blah, yeah, driving her everywhere. The narcissist knows that they truly blinded, generous people are rare, naive, and hard to find in this world to exploit, as after a certain age, yeah? So she got me, I should have known better anyway. So let's look at a narcissistic episode or a behaviour, yeah? Like what happens on the road or when we were in a petrol station one time, years ago. So I've called the chapter The Strange Esso Petrol Costa Coffee Machine Incident. It was a bit weird, but looking back I suppose it wasn't that weird if you didn't know who she was and I didn't know who I was. Which preceded her trauma-bonded common assault. Yeah, it was a trauma bond because I was in love with her, but she was abusing me, yeah? Like the whole time. And then she was lying to me as well, yeah? It was relationship fraud, but because I was bonded and in love, it became bloody abusive, yeah? A hard slap across my face, which is what ended up happening, should have led to a criminal charge maybe, and me pressing the charge to the police, or reporting it to the police to have it held up. But obviously at the time I wasn't expecting what she did, you know? Due to its, because there was an incitation of violence, yeah? Because she was just, it was provocation, what she was doing, yeah? Just making a fool out of me in the Esso petrol station, you know, like jackassing around, yeah? Sometime at the beginning of July 2018 it was, this is sort of the times when I was frequenting her house share, yeah, Filipino house share. I had been invited via WhatsApp by the emotional abuser to her Filipino house share on Derby Road, Luton, which is just opposite Luton and Dunstable University Hospital. You might know it, I don't know. With tremendous nagging doubts, I was still surprised to think of our relationship as healthy. Yeah, that was naive. I still thought we could make it, you know, that maybe she wasn't lying to me in love, and that she wasn't bad-mouthing me to all of the Filipino people in the house, which this was just the tip of the iceberg. Continuing myself to positively ride up to see her on the Suzuki, on the Bandit, just, you know, because I thought she loved me and cared about me. Never. Often in unreliable wet conditions, kind of dangerous sometimes. You know, the 1999 GSF 600 wasn't really that reliable, and once the engine went, that was the end of it. It wasn't a very safe bike to ride either. As soon as I saw the emotional abuser, yeah, when I visited her a few times, there was this awkward, offish, not malevolent, but ominous vibe, yeah? Where it was like, you know, what are you doing here kind of feeling, yeah? She didn't actually say it, but you just got that idea, you know? It's like, oh, what, you know? I didn't get it directly or I would have left, but I felt it, you know? Like she was, you know, not happy to see me or repulsed or whatever, yeah? This time the narcissist did not seem that happy to see me, obviously, yeah? Maybe the emotional abusers, I know I'm calling narcissist and emotional abuser, but it's one of the same person, yeah, that I'm referring to, yeah? Maybe she, her mask was slipping, and the real person, the horrible user, was now revealing itself to me. See, she's at the point where she doesn't give a damn anymore, yeah? She's got nothing to lose, only me. The horror, yeah? It's like as if, like now, she's like, yeah, I'm a narcissist, yeah, I'm a bitch, yeah, whatever. So, yeah, I don't like you, and yeah, I'm cheating, I'm having sex with someone else, or whoever pays for my dinner or whatever. So you either see me or you don't, but that's the truth of it. If you can't handle it, you know, whatever, innit? So it's getting to that point, yeah, of just heartless, all surface, no feeling kind of type situation, yeah? Shit situation. Something underhanded had been on the narcissist's mind, her mind, but she wasn't letting on at that time, yeah? She wasn't exactly, I don't know, I was a bit slow, you know? Sure, but then no one was helping me or anything. It wasn't like her friends were giving me any thumbs up, or the people in Cheltenham told me to stay away, or her auntie, I didn't get anything. Her parents, nothing. I got nothing from anyone about this horrible person, yeah? This disgusting human being. Shortly after arriving, turning off the engine, the Suzuki engine, and dismounting, one of us has suggested going for a coffee. Me, probably. I just want to get out of the house, man. At the petrol station, on the other side of the M1 motorway, because it was just sort of like underneath to the petrol station, where there's a hotel there as well, Holiday Inn or something. It must have been me that suggested it was, yeah. I would have needed to subtract the house share from the emotional abuse. It might have been her, actually, because she was seeing someone else now, innit? She was cheating on me at the time, innit? So she may have wanted to keep us separate, me separate from the Filipino house share, so that tongues wouldn't wag, and this guy that she was probably going out with didn't find out that I was visiting her, yeah? So mentally and physically, there was only two of us and no one else, but it would have been better if there was other people, so I could just, you know, get it out in the open, because the more I was explaining and making sense of everything, the more that they would be making sense of everything, and the more that she would be caught out, yeah? Because her lies would be totally inconsistent about where she was and who she was with and so on and so forth, yeah? And the times and the dates, which conferred. But I knew she was cheating already anyway. She was already messing about, yeah? But in her eyes, she wasn't even in a relationship, yeah? She wasn't even in a relationship with the person that she was cheating with. She's never in a relationship. She's not in a relationship right now, even if she's having sex with someone. Do you understand, yeah? That is the whole most disgusting thing. The whole gaslight of everything. She's nobody's friends, man. She's, it's sick. It's just bloody sick. And this is how good people become bad, yeah? And stop giving a shit, yeah? About society, yeah? We would grab a coffee, catch up, have a laugh. We didn't have a laugh, trust me. Or so I thought anyway. Events after contact did not transpire into a mutually constructive understanding or agreement. No, she was just pissing me off, yeah? She was just being an arsehole as always. The narcissist was on another plane of existence, no doubt, where she only mattered. It was like I was not there as a human being. No. Do you ever have complexes? People have complexes about cognition, isn't it? And about thought processes. Well, she knew I had complexes, yeah? And she knew not to go to certain places, she knew not to piss me off and all the rest of it. But guess what? She didn't give a fuck. She couldn't help herself, yeah? It was like, oh yeah, don't do that, don't say that, oh yeah, that hurts you and all the rest of it. Good, I've got nothing to lose. I don't live with you anymore, I'm not using you anymore, so fuck it, isn't it? Yeah? Anyway, so it was like I wasn't even there as a human being, I was just an object for abuse, really, yeah? Just a little plaything. No, I mean, I was a person to extract money from and run down and just be made fun of for her own pleasure. And this obviously was learned to be narcissistic supply, and yeah. Kind of embarrassed about the whole situation, really, but it was such a waste of time as well. We'd not seen one another in a while, yeah? And to me, of course, the house was full of strangers, where were Filipinos they were countrymen, yeah? Countrymen and women. And they were speaking Tagalog and the rest of it, and sometimes they speak English, but anything about my persona or about my life and personality, she could just lie about. She could just completely badmouth me in front of them, and then she would say, like, if I did start talking to them, she didn't want me talking to them, she got angry if I was speaking to them, because I was just asking them simple questions about her, yeah? So she didn't like me talking to them, and she just painted this picture that she was obviously suffering or whatever, or I'd just done something wrong to her, or, you know, that's why she was not happy and all the rest of it. But it wasn't true. I was completely oblivious to what was cooking, yeah? Simmering, if you like, in the pressure cooker. Not boiled gammon, that's for sure. So, well, they were unfamiliar people anyway, but they were good, man. They were nurses, you know, so can't be that bad, can they? I don't know. You just never know a person until you get to know them, innit? The reason for the circumvent or avoiding them, but now I know the narcissist must have been getting good supply from the Filipino housemates looking back, and looked visibly kind of annoyed, yeah, or perplexed. You know, like when you're taking someone off a good thing or whatever. You know, like when you've got a kid. Remember when you were in the fun fair on the roller coaster and your parents told you that's enough now, we've got to go home, and you kind of kicked up a little tantrum. That was sort of similar to what she was giving me when we just asked her to go for a coffee, yeah? Like I was interrupting something that she was addicted to or onto, yeah? But I think in hindsight it was because she was on a supply, yeah? She was weaving her web of lies, and it was all working out. And then I was just coming in, and it was like a spanner in the works for her. Yeah? A fly in the works, not. Actually, I suppose it would be a fly, isn't it? Anyway, she was kind of a little bit annoyed, irritated maybe, from me taking her away from them. Or was it because of something else? I don't know for sure, you know. The emotional abuser was in the discard phase now. She had nothing to lose, right? All she had to lose was just the occasional Sunday lunch or whatever, and maybe conning me into lending her money, scamming me into paying for a transport, like on the bus or whatever. Man, she grabbed my money one time. We got on the bus and she grabbed my money, you know. That really annoyed me, man. That will never happen again. So you see now how you can become an incel, yeah? An involuntary celibate, yeah? Because of women like this, yeah? Who just blow up how a woman is supposed to behave and how a man is supposed to behave. It's like blows up the whole relationship thing, yeah? The rules, if you like. But we all know who to blame for the reason why men aren't getting married anymore or even seeing women that much or dating with them, because of the system, innit? Because of the court system, okay? Anyway, getting back to the little rundown. She was in the discard phase of the narcissistic cycle, I believe, and was still holding on for the last embers of supply. She still wanted her free lunch, yeah? She still wanted me to take her out on a weekend when she wasn't busy to take her for lunch, innit? For a couple of hours. Like drive all the way 20 miles just to take her for lunch, yeah? I know nobody cares, but I would have rather wasted it on someone who gave a crap about me, yeah? One day you might be in the same position, but maybe you won't now because you've heard this story, yeah? Before, kind of, it all got too much and she had too many offers of lunch, I suppose, or whatever, and, you know, then she was left for good, then she would have ended the relationship because she's already got better offers and all the rest of it, yeah? Typical narcissist. Going out to the highest bidder and all the rest of it. The narcissist appeared reluctant, but nevertheless came along anyway. Maybe she had a stressful day or something. God, I'm so naive. I very much doubt it now after being educated on narcissistic personality disorder. The emotional abuser had no desperate need for my supply at that point in time and was growing more and more impatient. Yeah, frustrated. Because I wasn't giving her more and more money, I was giving her less and less. In reality, the emotional abuser had never loved or cared for Aya at any time. She was eventually showing signs of repulsion. Yeah, she was starting to hate me, yeah? Like me hanging around and whatnot. She was wanting me away, yeah? But she couldn't say it like directly, or it would sort of affect her reputation and all the rest of it. And, you know, she had to make it look like it was me that caused it, yeah? That she loved me, she was, you know, like the king and I kind of thing, and it was just me who ruined it, and, you know, you can't love a monster indefinitely if they're treating you badly and all that, you know, all the rest of it, isn't it? Better off to move on, yeah. All actions of the discard phase, anyway. So strolling, so it's kind of connected to the discard phase, yeah? This kind of neglecting, yeah? Neglecting, sorry. So strolling along then, in what was promising to be a calm, relaxing, intimate episode, slowly morphed. Yeah, morphed, as in take heart, yeah? Is it take heart? Tony Hart? Morph? Never mind. Into yet another competitive psychological trauma-inducing game from her NPD conjuring. Yeah, narcissistic. Just... Oh, so annoying that day as well. I broke my glasses, didn't I? My motorcycle cover, which I had hastily stuffed into my bike jacket, fell out and onto the pavement. Well, you know, I don't know if it wasn't really a big problem, but she made it a big problem, innit? So it fell out, and let's see, what have I got? Yeah. So I just thought, you know, big deal, not a big deal, just put it back in, yeah? But not in the company of her, not for her, who kind of started bickering and then sort of accusing me of being silly, innit, or whatever, and just started belittling me, and she just could not help pouncing on my mistake, innit, and commented coldly, detached, almost kind of happy, really, like smugly, yeah? In a smug kind of way, like, oh, you're stupid, how could you let it fall out of your jacket, all that crap. She told me, like, you should have put it in your rucksack, yeah? And pointing, you know, what's the word? Pointing kind of authoritarianly or whatever. I don't know, just in a kind of like, you know, you're an idiot kind of way. To the rucksack I was wearing, just I made it sort of stick in an attempt to induce shit. It was shameful, innit? Yeah, it was just making me feel bad, man. Even though it was stupid, man. So what, you know? But at the time, man, it pissed me off because it was like she was sort of kind of coming out with, you know, why I wasn't good enough or some shit. Yeah, that I was too stupid or whatever. Yeah. And she just kept doing it, man, just over and over, of why. And when you're in love, man, you just so shit, innit? It's sort of like, oh man, this woman, man, she's sort of like testing, but really she's not even in the relationship anyway. So this is all just sadism, yeah? This is all just emotional sadism. I allowed her, no, because it's a kind of like, oh, that's the reason why I'm rejecting you, because, you know, you're an idiot or you do stupid things and all this crap, yeah? I allowed her correction without questioning it. Well, I was questioning it, but not to her face, innit? Wanting to overturn the apparent negative down vibe, well, it was a bit negative, innit? So what's funny about it? I don't know. For a more positive one, hopeful, you know, I've just been trying to be hopeful, trying to be happy, innit, yeah? But it just was not going very far. We soon arrived at the petrol station that aforementioned above, where I asked the emotional abuser, you know, what would you like? In doing so, indirectly offering some hot drink, I think it was hot chocolate or something, to this unbeknown, ungrateful, self-entitled, narcissistic abuser. Well, if I knew what she was, she would never be getting nothing from me, yeah? Anything. Who seemed to take enjoyment in my shortcomings. See, I'm just trying to give you an insight to why men are stopping with Western women especially, yeah? I mean, she's not from the West especially. The Philippines is heavily influenced by Americanism, yeah? She is technically in the West, especially in coming to England. So her views, beliefs and everything, because she's a narcissist, because she's selfish, and because, well, she's worse, because you can't see it coming. You can't believe it. It's like, oh, damn, you know? It's like as if Jesus was, like, you go and see Jesus, and it turns out that he's a mafia boss, yeah? He's the Dom. He's the Godfather. And you're like, oh, no, not Jesus, innit? Yeah? Anyway, let's not blaspheme too much. So where were we? So she seemed to take enjoyment. I was noting up just before buying her a drink, I was thinking, oh, man, this woman's taking enjoyment in my shortcomings, yeah? So the emotional abuser, of course, could only accept, and I just went on to select a hot chocolate beverage from the petrol station's Costa Coffee vending machine. In doing so, I for some reason forgot my concentration for the now had been displaced by her faint, confusing, repelling behaviour. So I just totally, what's the word? I got cognitive dissonance from her shit, yeah? Just totally blew me sideways for a minute, yeah? To slide out a cardboard, tightly bonded polythene layered Costa coffee cup, just Costa coffee cup, I don't know why I go into so much detail there, getting all Dickensian. To place below the milk and coffee dispenser nozzles, as I'd done perfectly well countless times before then. At this moment, the emotional abuser could not abstain, and automatically pounced on this out-of-the-ordinary act of harmless incompetence. So what happened was I pressed the button, but I forgot the cup in it, yeah? Which is something that I've never ever done before, up to that point, and I've never done it ever since. So it must have been something that she was doing, you know? That my mind was concentrating on her shit, yeah? Than my own shit, yeah? So this act of incompetence or whatever, instantly whipping out a Costa coffee cup from the side, stack in time for one of the nozzles to dispense milk. So she literally, if you like, while I was divering or whatever, thinking about things, I'd forgotten to take out the cup and the machine was about to pour, and she just grabbed the cup and she stuck it down like she was saving the day or some shit, you know? But in reality, it's like, why the fuck am I doing that? You know, why is my mind somewhere else? What's going on here? Yeah? That is a sign that you're with someone, that your brain, yeah, is like shutting out what you're doing in real time, yeah? Because your brain's processing, scanning. It's kind of like computing, like, what the fuck is going on here, yeah? What is this, yeah? So, anyway, so she saves the day and all the rest of it, and then she said something about, like, she also detected that there was no chocolate in the hot chocolate as well, like nice and fast and all the rest of it. But I was more interested in why she was doing all of this shit, you know? Like, what was the ulterior motive? So my mind was not even in real time, because it had been going on for so long. This was July, this was like over 6 months of knowing her, so you can imagine how much shit she was pulling, you know? So should I be grateful, glad, or what? Obviously the narcissist was not doing it for service, or to help me, but maybe to show me up for being a fool, an idiot, and a bit to make me feel like shit. The latter makes much more sense with an NPD person. And also, why was everything going wrong in the narcissist's company? Failed. I'd also failed to place the Costa coffee cup in line with the nozzle. Oh yeah, I didn't put it in line with the nozzle. So you can imagine, like, first I didn't detect her chocolate, then I didn't detect I didn't have a cup, then it wasn't in line with the nozzle. So you can see it all building up, yeah? Like, this, what the fuck, you know? What the fuck? You know, leave it, man. Let's leave it. You come, and then I'm paying for the fucking coffee. Yeah, so you can see that it's just constant. Yeah, it's just annoying, yeah? And the emotional abuser, of course, corrected that one. Before I had time to move a single muscle, the Costa coffee machine started to jet out the beverage. The narcissist had to then comment, toxic with NPD. I haven't even done any of this before, just first time. It's like, so what? Who gives a fuck, yeah? She thinks that she's competing in some kind of competition, but it's like, the fact is that she don't give a fuck about hurting me, she don't give a shit about nothing, yeah? As if to imply that she, an obviously very conceited narcissist who's never been checked or been put in a place, had done everything perfectly at her first attempt, correcting I, as she went along. That was pretty dodgy. I'm not being funny, but I felt that was pretty pissed off. I felt really pissed off. Motorbike at like 100 mile an hour, bloody M1. Virgin motorbike at like 100 mile an hour, bloody M1, just to get there in time and shit. She's already been warned and told before not to go there. But she'd already been warned and told before not to go there. Why are you doing that? I just don't go there, man. What is the point? First time, yeah? First time. First time right, yeah, she said. Contradicted. First time right, yeah, she said. So yeah, she tried to contradicted the narcissist's driving aspirations. So yeah, she tried to drive my car in it, yeah. She'd been acting to please the Yaris, failing to adequately drive a user-friendly car. The easiest car to drive in the world, drive a user-friendly car. It's like the easiest car to drive in the world. Like, see, Toyota Yaris, I was giving the narcissist a driving lesson. You see, a few months earlier, I was giving the narcissist just a driving lesson. Where to go, my Yaris was just a go with it. It's only a runaround. In my Yaris, I was right-handed. It's only a right-handed manual.
So, continuing with the fifth instalment. So remember, in part one there, I was talking about her not being able to drive my rival Yaris, 1 litre, to my surprise, and right there, to be able to do anything first time, was it? Even though the emotional abuser allegedly had a driving licence in the Philippines, he couldn't drive here at all. So much for this this kind of phrase that, and I haven't even done any of this before. Yeah? So why couldn't she just drive my car first time without even thinking about it? She tried to say some crap about it being right-handed or whatever, I don't know. It's bullshit, isn't it? So, it's nonsense, unless the emotional abuser had been playing dumb to please me, maybe, or something the narcissist was still on my supply, yeah? Yeah, because she was still using me in it, so, I don't know. That afternoon, in the car park, in the Tesco car park at the time, if she, the emotional abuser, had been truly unable to drive my Yaris, I probably had given narcissistic failure or injury, and then paid through subtle psychological and financial abuses wherever the opportunities had arisen for her. So, for me showing her up and forcing her to drive not forcing her to drive it, but forcing her to admit that she couldn't drive my car, later on she was, financially abusing me. Wherever the opportunities had arisen for her, that's a hallmark narcissist to inflict that kind of injury for that kind of revenge, I reckon, yeah? To make it so subtle, yeah? Anyway, I don't know, I can't think of, anyway, maybe she just couldn't drive the damn car, yeah? Then the revelation started that I, a codependent, and now I'm labelling myself, a codependent empath trying desperately to form a positive relationship with someone unknown, at no time had to do anything for her, a narcissist, to narcissistically abuse me. It was all part of the narcissistic cycle, of course. And I was already hardwired to her mindset. Nothing could really alter it at the time, because, when you fall in love, man, this kind of crap happens, doesn't it? The narcissist's illusions of grandeur, or illusion of grandeur, included everything she had undertaken. Her reason for being unable to drive my user-friendly Yaris, anyone can drive a Yaris, even a 4-year-old. Though it can't be, automatic, was that, her reason was that the Japanese car had right-side drive here. Blame, even now when the emotional abuser had allegedly driven a smaller vehicle in the Philippines, or a similar vehicle, for some time. I heard that she'd driven in the Philippines quite a lot, actually. The car was very easy to operate. I think it's the fear, or the chances of her not being able to do it first time that was actually putting her off in the first place, yeah? She was like, she didn't want to be bluffed, innit? She didn't want to be, proved to be just like everyone else, yeah? Trial and error. Any one driver with limited practice could have easily driven it anyway. If you can drive, you can probably drive it. Maybe the emotional abuser was playing with me, who knows? I think she was just scared to fail. So, brackets, this is another headline. Just 5 odd things that she did before she strategically left me for a better supply in Luton and Dunstable. The emotional abuser secretly took a photo of my Yaris, getting taken away by an open-top vehicle transporter, or just a grabber in it. It was going to be scrapped. I did not notice until she told me. I never saw the image. She'd taken a photo of us dancing and jumping, etc. in a nearby adventure playground, but her iPhone was on a program to take an image every few seconds. I think it was less than that. You know those iPhone 6s, they got like a loop photograph? She never told me, and it was a bit strange because she could not explain why she did not ask. So she was kind of secretly taking pictures because she knew that I didn't even notice, yeah? It was just proving a point that she could do things without me noticing, or covertly, I suppose. It was just, it was kind of suggestive, innit? Like, if she's doing that, like taking photos behind my back and just doing it, like, illicitly, if you like, then she must be doing other stuff behind my back, innit? No? And maybe I was just reading too much into it, maybe it was fine, I don't know. Well, actually, it's not fine because it was true. But she was completely lying about the fucking relationship. We went to Luton to look at houses after I had put my apartment on the market, and that wasn't very successful. You should have seen the emotional abuser's gleeful excitement. She was so enthusiastic and attentive all of a sudden. Retrospectively, I wonder why now, maybe because she could not believe her luck, but maybe she was about to share a 3-bedroom house with a front and back garden without paying a penny or contributing to it. That was the idea. There was this home with all these trophies everywhere. Now, this is a viewing that we went to somewhere in Luton. I can't remember exactly where it was. Just along the main road on the way to the main area, or the city centre. But what they were all for was this great mystery. So we went into this lounge, and there was all these trophies, right? Couldn't make out what was engraved on them, and anyway, and we were both a bit, thought it would be a bit impolite and ignorant to ask the person selling the house, what they were for, innit? We came out, got into my Yaris, so this is after the viewing, and she said, "I know you were trying to find out about those trophies. I found out straight away. They are all Highland dancing trophies." Well, my eyesight's not so hot. Maybe that's one of the reasons, isn't it? She might have eagle eyes. Her competing was relentless, though. I really want to know. I probably just couldn't see it because of my glasses or whatever, I don't know. The emotional abuser had to win, even if it caused hostility and resentment every time, I don't know. I could let that go, I suppose. No big deal on that one. She just wouldn't give anything, would she? It was just every day, like a kind of chess match every day, yeah? That was just like a little pawn take that time, yeah? Imagine, no matter what, even in McDonald's, where she could sit down at the far end, away from the serving counter where you could see all the signs, and use a technique with her fingers to see the number boards from afar by blocking out the excess light. Oh yeah. So you just make a tiny little hole with your fingers. saving her the trouble, and that way it doesn't look blurry, you can see it really clearly, like numbers far away. If you've got good eyesight, of course. Saving her the trouble of standing, then driving me to despair. The emotional abuser had said that her mind was always working things out for her. Oh yeah. But I never really paid attention, as this was just boasting. We did a crossword together. She was so competitive that the fun was eventually sucked out of it. Absolutely no reason apart from the fact that she liked being annoying, competitive, and just undermining all around, really. Yeah, she missed out a bit as well. She couldn't let it go, man. It's just constant, yeah? So, it's fine now, man. I even forgot about all that stuff, but at the time it was just intense, yeah? It was, regretful, isn't it? My life is already hard because I'm not gifted, blessed, or privileged. And along comes, Miss Know-It-All to blow me away from an already depressing rubbish life, to the realization that I would never escape because my intelligent quotient is probably not adequate or high enough for her, yeah? Something's wrong with my brain then, and maybe, it might be just not perfect and sharp enough for her world. I don't know. It just felt like I was being judged all the time and being held up as an example of what not to be in it, I suppose. Just my take on what she was trying to do to destroy my soul and spirit, then reinforced that with rejection, abandonment and estrangement. It was just part of the NPD, I was going to say NHS, the NPD discard phase, yeah? That you're rubbish, why would I want to be with you? Look, here's the evidence, yeah? Little did she, the emotional abuser, know I had never forgotten a Costa coffee cup to put under a nozzle until that moment. Thousands of cups of coffee and nothing, but in her presence this happens. The chocolate came out and she noticed straight away that it had no chocolate. Oh yeah, I told you about it just momentarily. All of this happened in the space of a few minutes, a few seconds really, innit? And I was suddenly very irritated with her constant competitive nonsense. I didn't react, we left, walked under the M1 motorway towards her place, and I let out all my rage, all my anger, on my driving glasses. Yeah, that was stupid, wasn't it? Slapping them in front of her, I just cannot remember what she said, but when we got back, the emotional abuser slapped me very hard across the face. Yeah, she did. The next title heading is The Freeloading Here, There and Everywhere. The emotional abuser, I call her gold digger now because it's similar, prided herself on not paying her way, as she used to always like freebies and stuff. If I bought myself a coffee, she got a more expensive hot chocolate. She'd get the most expensive thing on the menu, put it that way. I bought lunch for myself and she expected the same, like in exchange for sex maybe or something, I don't know what she was up to, but it was weird. This I learned much later when the trust really broke down. The emotional abuser was not working yet, had fees to pay, so I did not mind the situation for the time being. She promised to pay me back in due course, but never did, contrary to her standing. I remember one day she expected lunch, after I had some unpaid job training. She sent over an image of herself all done up to the nines. Fishing, yeah? However, I told her that I could not afford it today, and she did not react. That day, the emotional abuser just wanted my money to pay for her food and drinks. The same was true wherever we went, whether it was IKEA, I think it's Dunelm, or my local cafe, the Blue Owl, down in, I think it's just below, it's in Crouch Hill, yeah? Blue Owl. I don't think is it there anymore? I don't think it is. I think it's gone out of business a few years back. The emotional abuser was there, and I was obligated to pay for her, expecting the same in return. You wish? When the emotional abuser moved into my apartment, I thought that she was going to pay me for everything, like, go 50-50 or whatever. When she finally got her nurse job, or a nurse appointment, and money, to pay her wages, perhaps in easy instalments, but no, she wouldn't pay me. She was under the delusion that I had been paying for her, because that was the charge for staying with me, like a reluctant prostitute. I put down please watch this video for more insight into why she had chosen me, but the main reason was because I guess I was an empath, dependent personality type, yeah? Needy, innit? Need someone, innit? Too bad she never made that clear and upfront, but she did, yeah. Having me working all of that out months later did my disappointment and dismay. That really disturbed me the way she carried on, yeah. Another time in August 2018, I visited her in Luton again. She wanted to eat. We waited for a bus at the end of her road to journey into the Mall, Luton Central. The Mall is like a shopping centre in there. I had money for the bus. She just walked on, expecting me to pay without even looking up. She respected me very little looking back. Yeah, I think she just grabbed the money out of my hands. We got to the Mall, where the emotional abuser had not been happy to use the many food outlets inside the shopping city. I suggested one place and then the other. She was not happy with any of them, and she suddenly just stated like a child, "I'm hungry." She really did that, yeah? I just wish I got it on film. I could not believe it. Here was a grown woman, nearly 30 years of age, with a good job and prospects, acting like a 5-year-old's daughter. The emotional abuser never saw the other person, just their money. So I was just an ATM at the end of the day, yeah? It was like she had had an emotional intelligence bypass. She did. I knew that the other Filipino nurses in the house had been charmed and persuaded the same way, and the same as I had been months earlier. They were on their own little narcissistic cycles, with the friends and family, labelling, photo prints, and extensive cooking. So, when I say friends and family labelling, it was like, even though she didn't really know them for more than a couple of weeks, they were already family, like sisters, They were very chummy-wummy, yeah? They were like, getting on famously or whatever. You know, and it was, you know, they were cooking and doing things together and bonding, yeah, I guess. She'd successfully, it seemed, found her new emotional support supply, and they almost from day one took priority above whatever we did. The emotional abuse embarrassed me in front of the nurses by simply using alienation, all the tactics. The fact that I was not a nurse, professional, Filipino, was enough to make me feel somewhat negative and insidious. An outsider, imposter, to be exiled, I suppose. Not to be there anyway. I didn't fit in, a misfit, yeah? In front of the nurses, though, she had declared that we're all professionals, knowing full well that that would affect me psychologically, as I'm probably not mentally good enough to be a nurse, and so on and so on and so on until it just drains, you know? The fridge got delivered to the house one afternoon. Oh yeah. And freezer. Fridge, you know, like one of those fridge freezers, a tall one. And being in her bed, I felt obliged, or obligated, sorry, to give a hand and came straight out onto the pavement. Oh yeah. Wearing her house slippers. I think I was using her slippers. They were a bit small. She quickly pointed this out in front of everyone. Nobody said anything, but it was embarrassing, really, and I felt embarrassed. Like, who cares if I come out in her slippers or whatever, man? But she was just making such a big deal out of it because obviously they were meant for the house, but yeah. In her statements, we broke up on June the 11th, 2018, her ex parte statements for Luton County Court, yeah? Or family court, whatever you want to call it. The ex partes, which eventually got her a restraining order, which was, oh god, so annoying. But we really broke up in October 2018. That's when we officially broke. Well, not officially, but that's when she, you know, sent me an email. Because I'm not American, yeah, so I'm not going to use DM, yeah. So stuff that. Because she'd been called out on being a narcissist, as simple as that. It's called her a narcissist outright, yeah. She was scared of being exposed, and of course, the money was starting to flow into her bank account from the National Health Service. She was really worried about me coming into the house, maybe having a few drinks, and, you know, calling her a narcissist. Evidence of narcissistic torture and the Dodo test. The Dodo test is like the shark test, yeah? Do test, Dodo test. When a victim puts up with constant abuse because they have no one and appears to be better than being alone, and it's hope, innit? It's hope. In a hopeless situation. The emotional abuser had borrowed £40 for food. Did I give her £40? Holy shit. I forgot about that. She was given £40. I need that money back, man. So you can see now the problem, yeah? It's like, oh, man. A Motorola mobile phone with a new memory card worth £65. So she got... So I was just being, like, conned, yeah? So I gave her that money, mobile phone, new memory card worth £65, and the courts never gave me any compensation, yeah? She did not want my old memory card because it probably had all my rubbish on it. So she said, oh yeah, that was so insulting, man. Like, give her just, can you imagine that? Being trauma bonded into this shit and not being able to get anything back. It's enough to make anyone pissed. Because it probably had my rubbish on it. Only women can get away with robbery, yeah? They like robbery. Why don't you just give it all back, man? What's the problem? Oh yeah, she's a narcissist. Because it, so she said, protein powder worth £15 and Lemsip worth £5 with countless soy milk cartons given before she had been paid. She got them all free as well, yeah? So you can see this is just absolute bollocks, isn't it? She's just an arsehole, isn't it? Not to mention, from the moment I met her until the time it was obvious what she was, and had been found out in October 2018 time. She was found out before that. Every time we went out, she would freeload, costing hundreds of pounds. She never offered to pay, no matter what the circumstances were at the time. I know for most of that time that she had been known in between work. She had been in between work, and that was no excuse for her exploitative behaviour. She was in between work, you know, like she was unemployed, but still no excuse. Exposed with narcissistic personality disorder, there was also a swimming costume and a dress. Alright, look, I know there are only little tidbits here, but it all adds up, yeah? It was just a scam, man. She was never in love, she never gave a shit, you know? If I'm giving money to someone who doesn't give a shit about me, whether I'm dead or alive, man, it's starting to piss me off, you know? Like I was just an ATM or some shit. And a dress which she had also refused to pay for when money started going into her account. I wonder what dress that was. And costume as well, innit? There was a costume that I bought her as well for a test. It's starting to piss me off because the money was just running up, yeah? Nothing was ever returned, nothing was ever paid for, along with everything else, the rent promise saying she was going to pay something towards the bills and shit when I was out. Because I wasn't earning good money either at the time, yeah? The dinners, travel, nothing, man. See, I wasn't earning big money or anything, yeah? You know, when I first met her, I wasn't even working. I think I was off for depression or something, yeah? It was turning into a long game, elaborate scam. After all, I'm a vulnerable adult, I think, living alone with no friends or close family, no friends that I can mention in London anyway. Close family, what about them, man? They're all narcissists like her, innit? They're all bad like her. To support me, my selfish parents deliberately sabotaged my development growing up, out of resentment or jealousy or both. I don't know. It's complicated, isn't it? So, we'll see where we are. Oh, doing well. Oh, not bad. As a result, I've found life difficult, to say the least, and really difficult to be accepted and fit in. So a lot of people don't like me just for being average or whatever, just, you know, just a regular person. Maybe over the years, maybe just, I don't know what the word is, man, but whatever, what they say in it, don't suffer fools gladly and all that nonsense, yeah? I've never asked for help or tried to change my situation. Well, I have. You can always try to change your situation, but if you don't have the power to, it's a bit difficult. If you want to walk, like you can think you want to walk, you can want to walk, but if you haven't got legs and you haven't got muscles, you ain't going to walk, are you? I'm too proud and would feel stigmatised to admit to any of my shortcomings to the authorities, but this abuse could only have happened due to my lack of esteem, confidence, and inability to concentrate. Yeah, I've got some ADHD thing, I don't know. Or think, well, maybe not, I don't know. Or think clearly with all my demons preventing me from doing anything. You know, I've got a few demons, alright. Then at the beginning of 2009, I suffered a cyclone accident where I went headfirst into a car window without a crash helmet. Yeah, that was stupid, yeah. You can examine the scars on the right side of my forehead. You can? So don't worry about it, take my word for it. The emotional abuser was well aware of my mental condition. She knew that I had a bit of ADHD or whatever, and state of mind throughout, and stayed close, knowing inevitably that she would be rewarded, yeah? She knew that she would be able to get some kind of supply. The emotional abuser used dark sarcasm on more than one occasion. I was with her when she was going over her notes, and I knew some of the answers because they were just universal questions to the heat, fuel, and oxygen triangle. This is just an example of her smugness or whatever. I know it's all trivial tidbits, but it all adds up when you've got ADHD, you know? When you're not earning good money and you're not accepted and you're a bit of an outcast, man, this all kind of adds up, yeah? Remember, she's like quintessential nurse, accepted, pillar of the community, all the rest of it, yeah? It looks like you know more than me. Oh yeah, that was in her bedroom, innit, yeah? Obviously, trying to be funny, yeah? Now, it seems all innocent enough, yeah, but it really hurt me. But not after months of... It's not innocent when you're doing it like constant, yeah? Constantly with the sarcastic remarks and all the rest of it. She was putting me down a lot. The emotional abuser was kind of smirking at the time, yeah? And then, remember, she's in an upstanding professional career where she could develop, draw respect, and genuinely feel good about herself. Where, you know, I was just doing rubbish. Yeah, just rubbish jobs. I was struggling even to hold down a job, let alone have a good job, in yet another dead-end job, and experiencing the sarcasm as just another attack on my spirit and diminishing ego. Did the emotional abuser want me to kill myself or self-harm? Probably not. But why was she so mean and psychologically destructive then? Maybe I took it, or maybe I was just hypersensitive, maybe. But I was in love, innit? And trauma bonded, and had ADHD, and she was taking the piss. Yeah? Reluctantly, I must admit that I was exploited and conned by a clever, upwardly mobile, superior, maybe superiorly more able to remember. Yeah, so she had a better memory, I think. Narcissist. The emotional and financial abuser. So she's a financial abuser, really. Fundamentally, yeah? It all started at the end of December 2017 when I started exchanging messages with a member known as Lara. Oh, was it? On the dating site Scout. So that was her name, Lara, yeah? Her real name was... I won't be able to say it because of the restraining order. It doesn't end until June or something, yeah? So we'll just call her just VGS, okay? A 30-year-old nurse that had come over to England on a sponsored visa from the Philippines. Before meeting the emotional abuser, it must be stated that she had already failed her nursing exam twice in Northampton from Cheltenham Hospital. Northampton was the test place where they did the Oscar, yeah? So, and had already been curtailed by the Home Office by the end of February 2018. She was already on her way out 5 years ago. When I met the emotional abuser in January 2018, she'd been looking after an elderly woman known only as Mrs. A in her home in Horsham. I'd never met Mrs. A retired artist living down in Horsham, West Sussex. The plan for the emotional abuser at that time was to persuade I to transport her and everything she had to an address where the Home Office would never be able to find her, and she could study without the worry of paying for anything like rent, to finally book her test again in Northampton, third time lucky, I presume. It was not a difficult decision to give up Mrs. A, as it was quite a difficult job. 7 days a week she was working full-time, more than 12 hours a day, and then she was sleeping there and all the rest of it. It was pretty horrible, to be honest. Mrs. A in Horsham, gone, to move in with me in North London. I don't know why I offered, man, I shouldn't have offered, but... where she could study in peace and quiet, and no one else knew where she was. No one really knew where she was at the time, yeah? Especially the authorities. And, okay, I think that's enough for that bit. Now you've got another segment. Stealing friends and food from a colleague and housemate in Cheltenham. The emotional abuser had once told me that she had been bullied by a Filipino nurse housemate for taking food and then trying to steal her friends, which the emotional abuser denied, but mentioned that, well, maybe I was better company, and they wanted to be with me, and she, my ex-housemate, was just jealous. Not really, but, you know. This is not the truth, because when we visited Cheltenham, absolutely no one would agree to meet us to catch up. No one would meet us, man. We travelled 100 miles. One particular female nurse texted back to her, I'm cleaning my room tonight, even though the nurse knew that we had driven over 100 miles. That was the biggest red flag moment for me, yeah? At that moment, I should have ran, you know? I should have run away. Driving back from somewhere, I mentioned that my mother was not that bright. I think it's just from Horsham. Then she splurted out, the emotional abuser, Even if you're a moron, you must be good at something. I don't think she said, to be honest, I don't think she said even if you're a moron, yeah? I don't think she said that. I think she just said you must be good at something, yeah? Just to be fair. I don't think she ever insulted me directly like that. No. She just said you must be good at something, yeah? To imply that you're not good at anything, that much or whatever, yeah? Just to be funny, innit? This really got on my nerves. How dare she say that after what I had said? I was really starting to dislike her now. And that was going back to London, wasn't it, from Horsham? Maybe the last time. In the end, only a few elders were happy to entertain us when we got to Cheltenham, yeah? The elder Filipinos of the Filipino community. A person that the emotional abuser had once stayed with and paid rent, and a nearby older friend. They knew about her MPD, but could not say anything really. It was kind of difficult. Yeah, that's true. I mean, who were you going to believe, wasn't it? I mean, I was in a state where I didn't really want to believe it, you know? Where I probably wouldn't have believed them anyway, at the time. They offered to take her to places like Bicester. Bicester's quite close to Cheltenham. Once in a while, of course, all I have is the emotional abuser's words and some images to verify anything, just like a few times she was in the car with this guy. But it was really strange. If word got round that she was really a thief and a friend taker, of course no one would talk to her anymore in the closely knit Filipino community. Both the nurse and the elders were kind of funny. They were acting strange towards her, yeah? It was like they were trying to tell me something, yeah? They couldn't tell me directly, though, that's the thing. Again, I could have filmed all of this. Anyway, that was very significant. Very significant. The biggest red flag that I ever missed. That would never ever happen again in a relationship. If anyone acts funny, really strange towards someone who's just been somewhere, I need to get to the bottom of it. I need to find out what the hell's going on. Is it them or is it her? I need to find out what the hell the truth is, yeah? I don't need to find out firsthand, do I? Sister story, narcissistic evidence. My sister had for some reason completely ignored her. Oh yeah, she just blanked her, innit? Oh yeah, bloody hell, that was pretty bad. On us visiting her home in Ware, on driving back to London, the emotional abuser got quite upset at being overlooked and demanded why. I told her that everyone has the right to befriend whoever they want. It was nothing to do with me anyway. What could I do? My sister's just a bitch anyway, and a narcissist herself, so a narcissist will obviously recognise a narcissist, and there'll be like some kind of pecking order or some kind of stalemate, yeah, when it comes to draining or talking or whatever, and they were both scanning each other anyway, so she knew that this young Filipino was up to no good and shouldn't have been with me anyway. So she knew. Gold diggers, no gold diggers, and so on. More background. The emotional abuser was about 14 years younger than myself, still is. Far more mentally capable. Yeah, she's been a lot more blessed, isn't it? I think. And seemed to have it all with a nursing degree, a proven track record, and what looked like an accomplished, satisfying hospital career that involved education, promotion, and authoritarian positions, yeah. She was promoted in that. I was happy for her, and she inspired me at first, yeah, because I thought we were going to be a team, you know, and support one another. Nevertheless, that was just an illusion she projected, tailor-made for me, to please me, to give me what I wanted to read into, at any given moment to please me by being what I desired, or needed to hear, yeah? Needed to look at, needed to hear, needed to act, and so on. Two Filipino men get stung by her in the Philippines. A history of narcissism, and that I kind of overlooked, you know? I didn't really listen. Because you just don't believe, innit? The emotional abuser had told me about this older man. He was an older man, like a chauffeur or something, a taxi driver, that would offer lifts from her place of work, the local hospital, so he used to give her lifts to and fro, yeah? This man got into a bit of trouble with the hospital after she'd reported him, yeah? I believe that the emotional abuser had agreed to the lifts in the beginning, to being given a lift, and enjoyed being chauffeured around, but one day the old man probably wanted to get romantic, and this is where she probably ended it. The emotional abuser had only intended to use the old man for his car, or tricks, and make him a friend or whatever, yeah? Not even a friend, just someone she knew to give her a lift. The old man thought the emotional abuser had been interested, perhaps, when I assumed she had deliberately led him on, just for free transport and a meal ticket, and to boost her ego in the fact that the guy was simping for her, I suppose, yeah? Firstly, simping. That's all it was at the end of the day, and she just stung him by going to the top of the hospital and getting the police involved and restraining him and all the rest of it, yeah? By telling me her truth, if you like, and not acknowledging the old man's side of what actually really happened, the emotional abuser is smearing someone's good name with a fabricated account. So this is how I knew she was bad-mouthing me to the Filipinos in the house, yeah? Because that isn't what happened from what she did to me, yeah? What really happened was a kind of relationship fraud, yeah? She probably told the old man she loved him, she wanted to go out with him, she wanted to marry him, she wanted to have his kids and all that, and she was getting all those lifts, and then he just wanted some proof, and then she just blew up, innit? And then he just accused her of being a selfish bitch, and that was the end. That's what probably happened, because she gives a narcissistic cycle to everybody, yeah? She's now doing the same to me. The emotional abuser told me once that the father of her son is drinking a lot of alcohol because he cannot see his son, their son, yeah? Or something else, maybe financial or emotional abuse covertly inflicted during their interaction, who knows? So she stopped him seeing their son because he kind of like walked out because he couldn't handle the pressure of being a father, yeah? So she... she refused to let his family see the child. He, the father of her son, has asked for money. The emotional abuser turned it around, like this man was asking because she had no money, not because she owes him money. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's completely true. Like, he starts hooking up with her to see his son because she's working in England, and you know, now she can send money home and stuff. I don't think that's completely true. Yeah, it cannot be verified why the money was asked of, and even if the story is true, because it's only her side of the story, and judging by her side of the story, it's probably complete bullshit. Yeah, so I don't really believe that the guy really specifically was hoping that she'd send money after stopping, you know, access to his child. Yeah, I don't think it's just not true. So again, she's bad-mouthing people that, you know, there's no way of verifying it, and it's not good. It's not a good look for her or anyone around her. Story of being accused of negligence in a Filipina hospital. Oh yeah, this is when she was brought before a court. The emotional abuser has been accused of negligence by relatives of a deceased patient who had been under a doctor in her care at the time of death. Oh yeah. The relatives believed that she had something to do with their loved one's rapid decline and eventual passing. She shrugged while telling me the story, with not a care in the world for the focal point, the dead person, or, you know, the deceased, and it was more about her reputation and self-preservation and innocence and all of that. Someone needs to investigate her background immediately, even if she has been acquitted of any wrongdoing. Her attitude was worth looking into her hospital history on. Look, the problem is after what she did to me, yeah, and messing me around, dragging me through, getting in trouble with the police, going to court and all that, I'm starting to think maybe she's got it in her to... She might have it in her, you know? It's possible, yeah? The emotional abuser was probably a great person, surely, I thought. On paper, she had accomplished the usual medical feats, like delivering babies, circumcisions, well, it's not usual here, but in the Philippines it is, and the like, showing a fearless temperament. I was enchanted by her nature by now, bold, beautiful, with brains. And inevitably too good to be true, yeah? That's one thing you have to realise. If anyone's that perfect, it's for a reason, man, to fool you, and to think it's true, yeah? The emotional abuser had come third in a local pageant. Oh yeah, that's cool, she did. Well done. And for some time sung for a church-based singing group in the Philippines known as Bahandi. She'd been very proud of her accomplishments. I was astonished to find school reports and examination results going back over a decade still in her possession. Oh yeah, this gave the emotional abuser all the narcissistic supply she craved. Showing off was as natural as walking for her. It was eventually kind of toxic. Yeah, she just went on too much, man, just rolling out. Lucky for some, but I was not jealous at all at first. But the emotional abuser, with all the showing off, must have been trying to make me really envious and unworthy, as this gave her a narcissistic buzz. Or why would she keep doing it? I don't know. She just needed constant, feeling good and reminding or something. I don't know. It was clearly documented on her nursing profile. Appraising, I think it's called, isn't it? Praising. That she had an official, above-average intelligence. But nothing was said about her psychologically or emotionally. I found out the hard way and have suffered from post-traumatic stress fallout ever since. We're talking Chernobyl here, man. We're talking dystopia. We're talking I can't go near another woman for the rest of my life in the West. It seems like nothing and it seems insignificant, but it's actually a tear or a glitch in the matrix in many ways, yeah? Nothing's done about these sort of people, man. It's just, they're able to just walk around and just be trouble, yeah? Until they kill someone, yeah? The crimes against me will never be... are not punishable, are not prosecutable, are not... You know, she can't be brought to justice for it, yeah? So... it's one of the reasons why men are against women, because of the courts, because of the system, yeah? It kind of gives women privileges that they don't deserve, and women abuse them. Simple as that, yeah? Imagine we had children, imagine we had property, imagine we had businesses and money. She would have stolen everything. Yeah, anyway, it's the end.